Hi, and thanks for joining us on the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on their journey to publication. I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
I'm Christina Catane. I write in multiple genres, including Christian dystopian fiction.
I'm Rhonda Hagerman, and I write fiction and nonfiction under the pen name Dee Dee Bowman.
All right. We don't have Jennifer with us today. She's under the weather. So if y'all would pray for her, that would be greatly appreciated. And ladies, do you not feel like the hardest part of the podcast just happened? Like remembering who I am and what I write and not fumbling through that little bit, right? Does that not sometimes feel like, okay, all the rest is downhill?
Yeah, I had a moment of panic because Jen's not here and I didn't remember who I followed. When Jen's not here, because I also follow Jen.
Yes, Rhonda's always last unless she's hosting. All right. So we already have Piper in our chat. Hello, Piper. And if you're joining us live, why not say hello in the chat? Hi, Liz. There is a very active chat community here on the podcast every Friday at 10 Eastern. We even have some British people from across the pond who chime in and let us know what they're up to, even though their time's a little bit different. It's an active and fun community, and we really love to get your feedback. So pop on and say hello. And we really appreciate your support. If you're watching us later or hearing us later on one of the many platforms that we are brought to you by, please jump over to YouTube and like and subscribe. It helps to spread the word about the podcast and make sure that other writers will find us. It was interesting because this week some of the regular chat participants were talking about how they discovered us, and quite a few of them had heard mention of us through social media. So if you could spread the word, you would be helping more people be informed, encouraged, and supported. All right, with that said, we start every episode with the What's Up, which is where we go around the virtual table and we ask each of our hosts, what's up with you today? So I'm going to start with Rhonda. What's up
I knew you were going to. Okay, so I have reinvigorated when I started looking over my business plan for the upcoming year, reinvigorated myself to get things done. And so there's always something that just pops in my way. And so this Sunday night, I started methotrexate, which is a medication for rheumatoid arthritis. And it's not supposed to, I don't know if it's working yet because it takes a few weeks. But one thing it does do is give me cotton brain. And so I have not had a very productive week, but I feel like I've kind of been one of those ping pong balls that just kind of hits every wall and just doesn't really make any progress. But yesterday the fog started lifting and I actually started making progress and it feels good.
That's great. Good. Yeah.
So that's what's been up with me this week.
Well, thanks for sharing too about your arthritis, because I know our listeners would like to know how to pray for you about that. And I want to talk to you about your what's up. But first I want to say hi, Shell, and hello, BB. Thanks for joining us. So I'm just curious, we're going to talk a lot about goal setting in the new year and whatever, but how are you feeling about coming to office hours? Do you think that you might pick that habit back up again?
Yes, that is absolutely a keystone for my work.
Okay.
If I start my day out with that, then everything just goes right and I keep on track. And when I skip that, nothing ever gets done.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to getting together after the first of the year. Of course, we're going to be off for the next 2 weeks. Isn't that right, ladies? Because of the holidays that happen. So we will see everybody again in the beginning of January. Quickly looking at my calendar. So no podcast on the 24th or 31st, but we'll be back together on the 7th. And we'll be talking about our restructured goals or business plans or whatever for the coming year. What's up with you, Bambina?
Well, I have noticed, going along with our topic for the day, that my book sales have kind of gone up in the last month. And I haven't put any extra effort into advertising or any of that kind of stuff. So it must be because it's Christmas time.
Yay.
Or it could be because I went on a women's retreat a few weeks ago and people would ask me, when's the next book coming out? And then there'd be a table full of ladies and then they'd be like, oh, you wrote a book? What's it about? So I ended up talking about my book far more than I had planned. Like I didn't plan to go there to advertise that I'm a author or wrote a book. It just like happened organically, I guess would be the word. But I did know most of my sales are bunched around that weekend. So very interesting for me.
Ooh, I'm going to want to come back to you about this. I should have done my WhatsApp so that we could launch into our topic right on the heels of what you just said there, because that really was kind of accidentally capitalizing on Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a Christmas retreat. But I don't know that had anything to do with it. It could have been a different kind of retreat. It's just that people were asking me, and people that didn't know I'd written a book were hearing about it for the first time. So
awesome. Piper says her what's up. She got her manuscript opened every day, even if getting the words down has been a struggle. Good for you, Piper. Did get some structure to the work in progress figured out, so feeling okay about it. That's right. Just keep on showing up and you'll make progress. And you know what? Progress compounds over time. And
right.
Liz is giving you some encouragement. That's great. Tina, nice with the sales bump there. Shell's what's up? She's been watching, reading, and reviewing lots of Christmas romance and rom-com. That's great. That'll put you right in the season. My what's up, I'm going to continue with comparing the quotes of the Stoics with quotes from the Bible. And so for today, I have a quote about gratitude from Seneca. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient. For he that is so wants nothing. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. And I bet you, I can ask the two of you ladies in just a moment what scripture you would have gone to, but I bet anyone who's a Christian has several scriptures that come to mind about the concept of being thankful for what you have. So I picked 1 Thessalonians 5:18. In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. Is that the one that you girls would have picked, or did another one come to mind?
Philippians 4:11. Not that I speak in respect of want, for I've learned in whatsoever state I am to be content.
Wonderful. Very good. Bambina, did one come to mind?
Yes, but my brain is not working correctly. But something about godliness with contentment
is great gain.
It's great gain. Yeah, I was going to say great joy because like it's Christmas time. Tidings are great joy. But I knew that wasn't right. So that's why I was like, my brain.
Awesome. Well, thanks for indulging me with my little exploits over there into Stoicism. Let's see. Oh, Piper says she started her Amazon ads again, trying to figure those out. I know they're kind of a beast. Excuse me just a moment. Had to clear my throat. Liz said she tried Amazon ads about a year ago, but she doesn't think she got a single sale from that. Well, Liz, you got to find what works for you, right? Oh, and Maria's joining us. Good morning, Maria. Good to see ya. She's one of our friends from across the pond that we were mentioning earlier. All right. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the discussion for the day. And today's topic, Jen was like, I'm glad I'm not the host because just saying it is sort of a tongue twister. Because what we're calling today's episode is the business of writing, 3 ways to capitalize on the commercialization of Christmas. And does someone besides me want to talk about like why we're doing this topic, or am I the only one who kind of knows?
I think we were having a discussion on giving gifts at Christmas time of writing. I think it kind of started from there. And then it went into book sales and that different kind of thing. So I think it was like a conversation that morphed over time between the 4 of us.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what the specific reason is.
Say that again, Rhonda.
We love alliteration.
I just
Oh,
love it.
SEO and alliteration when they go together just make us so happy.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking for sure about, well, we're always talking about what topic ideas to do on the podcast. So that's a big hint for anybody who's a regular listener. Please send us your suggestions. If there is something that you would like us to cover on the podcast that we somehow have missed in our, gosh, what is this? This is episode 100 and something for us. Is that right?
162.
Yeah, we've done 162 of these. So as you can imagine, we kind of run a little bit thin on topic ideas. So if y'all have any to pitch to us, we'd love to hear them. And so we thought that we would talk about gift giving ideas as just one of the segments of this particular topic. So our first question is, how can I capitalize on Christmas? And I mean, we didn't even put in here like the should I, did we? We just we just launched right into like, yes, you should. Can anybody think of a case to be made where like, no, you shouldn't, just to kind of, provoke a little bit of discussion here?
I think that if you're a business and you know that Christmas is a time people buy gifts and a lot of gifts, and people are looking for a deal because they have to buy a lot of gifts, then it's only good business to mark down or have a sale or have something for sale that people can buy for gifts.
Well, there you are. It's time to put on your business person's hat, which, the ladies are always hearing me don't want to sell books. Maybe I should just traditionally publish. But if you are going to be a self-published author, you do have to think about your book sales, right? And you do have to think about market trends and things like that. Okay, so on the outline, our first question is, how can we capitalize on Christmas? And we have three great ways to do so. What is number one, Rhonda?
Is she frozen?
I think she is. Wow. She looks very engaged.
Either that or she doesn't want to answer your question and she's pretending to be frozen.
That's a good trick. Oh boy. Well, Rhonda, if you have to jump out and come back in, we understand. So Tina, why don't you read what it says on the number one?
Sure. We could write a Christmas story, novel, or novella to sell for Christmas time.
How would one do that?
Well, I think that you need to start way ahead of in advance, because if you want to have a story ready to publish before Christmas, this is something you start thinking about in January when you're doing your planning for the year.
Yes,
So
I
come
think
back
you're
on
right.
January 7th. But also you could fit it into your existing catalog. So you could take a series that you're already writing and base it at Christmas time, or make it just a novella of the, maybe. So like Jennifer, she writes romance, historical romance. And I think that a lot of people would like to read about her characters having Christmas in the way that they did back then, because it's so different from the way we celebrate Christmas today.
I think you're right. And that is exactly what she has done with her fourth book. It's a series of sisters, and this is what we all affectionately call Sarah's story, even though that's not the title of the story. And Sarah's story is a Christmas story. And so that is a way that she has decided to capitalize on Christmas. I don't think that was her intent when she started out, but as an example of how you could capitalize on Christmas, you could include Christmas in your existing catalog. And then, as Tina said, you could write a standalone piece. If it's going to be a novel, like Tina said, you might want to start now for release next year. Or if you wanted to do a short story, you could fit that in perhaps for National Novel Writing Month, or perhaps some other time of year, write a story that has a Christmas theme. And then finally, Tina, our last idea is what?
Write a script for Hallmark.
Write a script for Hallmark.
And if you need ideas about that, we just had an episode a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure how helpful it will be, but you could check it out.
Yeah. And Just as a little update, BB says that Rhonda is frozen. Her internet went out. Oh, no. Yet BB and Rhonda are
Boy.
connected in real life, so they are able to get that message to us. Maria, we missed Maria's What's Up, Tina, if we want to go back up to that. Her What's Up is that she finished the first draft of her historical fiction novel. Yay! It's the 4th in a series, so good job for her. And she's been working on redoing her blurb for book 1. Thank you to Leah, Shell, and Piper for all your help. Yeah, those ladies have been a real nice support system for one another. Maria says she tried to make the most of Christmas by having a Christmas short story as a reader magnet for her newsletter. She got 68 subscribers from it, so it seems to be working quite well.
That's
All right.
awesome.
Yeah, so
Very cool.
There's a plug there for writing a short story. Okay, and then Tina, you'll be happy to know that in our outline we've noted that if you write a Christmas short or a Christmas novella, it does not have to be a romance.
Yes. Yes, there's the age-old debate about whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly a joke and a meme, but I actually saw a TikTok from Bruce Willis the other day where he says Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. So I don't know what to say about that. But we also had some other ideas like Gremlins, A Christmas Carol, Hawkeye. I never heard of that one. And Christmas with the Cranks, which started out as a little novella called Skipping Christmas by John Grisham, was a standalone that he wrote for Christmas. So
yeah, and Jen had brought that one to the table. She said that when she saw John Grisham, she expected like lawyers and intrigue. And when she found out that it was Christmas with the Cranks before it was Christmas with the Cranks, she was surprised, but delightedly so. And she said it was a great quick read and she was really happy with it. Oh, yep. Piper says Gremlins was a big conversation over that at her house. She contends it is a Christmas movie.
hey, if Christmas is in it and they at least have a 15-second clip of a Christmas song, it qualifies in my book.
I don't know. There's Christmas all over that movie. Right. It's just not one that you really think about adding to the rotation. Shell says Hawkeye is a Marvel short series. He's trying to get home for Christmas. No spoilers. I'm only halfway through. No worries, Shell.
Yeah. Probably not going to read it.
Yeah, it was, I think, Jen who brought it to the table. Maria is chiming in that Die Hard is definitely a Christmas Carol? Just saying. I think she means movie.
She probably meant movie.
Her
favorite is Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yes. And she likes The Holiday and the Grinch, the Jim Carrey version.
Right. Another thing that you could write that's not a romance is a devotional. And I'm always, every year, looking for good Advent. Oh, look who we got. Advent, sorry, right in the middle of my sentence. I'm always looking for good Advent devotionals so that I can celebrate the season of Advent with like a little reading or something to meditate on every day that goes along with Christmas. Mm-hmm. And my favorite that I found takes the Handel's Messiah, which is an opera that he wrote, and every word of it comes straight from Scripture. And so the section that has to do with the prophecy of the Messiah, it's just beautiful. It's where we get For Unto Us a Child is Born. That song, I think, maybe is one of the most popular ones on there. But it takes each of you listen to that one section of the opera and then you read the reading that it's from, and then it has a little blurb about what that means for us. So but you could easily write something like that for Christmas.
That's very beautiful. I love that concept. Welcome back, Rhonda. Your internet is restored. Oh, you're muted.
Yes, thanks for letting me back in, ladies. We had really high winds here in Michigan yesterday, and I don't know how Tina still has internet, but I was warned that it might be spotty today, and there are trucks in this neighborhood, but I thought I was safe, so we'll see if I get to make it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, one of our tree branches almost killed the mailman. So it was like a great big branch, and it fell across the sidewalk, and he actually jumped back in the nick of time, and it landed right in front of him.
Wow. And your son was a victim too, right? With his
My
car?
son? Oh yeah, he hit a tree that had fallen in the road. Yep. That
Wow.
was last time. The last
Oh.
time we had a windstorm.
Oh.
Yikes.
So, anyway,
Well, that's not right.
we just got done talking, Rhonda, about how we don't have to write a romance for it to be a Christmas movie.
Mm.
Yeah, for it to be, you don't have to have it be a
A
romance.
story.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And guess what? You don't have to market it only at Christmas time. Like,
Right.
so you think, oh, I'm going to write this Christmas book and then I'm only going to sell copies once a year. Not true. Right, ladies?
Right.
Right.
Yes. So you could, for example, do a Christmas in July sale. And sometimes there are even, freebie promotions that capitalize on that. Didn't one of you have another opportunity that you had thought of?
Not that I know of. Maybe it was Jen.
Maybe it was Jen. There's a note here about the stone soup auction. Was that you, Rhonda, or was that Jen?
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, yes. We were discussing the food bank charity that I volunteer for is having a cornhole tournament, and we are auctioning large gift baskets. One's going to have Michigan foods in it, and one's going to have Michigan wines and cheeses and stuff. But that's something where you could throw your book in, or maybe some sort of promotional materials for your authorship. So that's what that was about, is finding places to maybe put it up for an auction. Because even if it's for charity, it's still marketing.
Yes. And so in that particular instance, we talked about maybe putting together a winter themed basket with mittens and hot chocolate and your Christmas story just tucked right in there with it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't have to write a romance and you don't have to wait until Christmas time to market it. And so our number one way to capitalize on the commercialization of Christmas is to write a Christmas story. Our number two way is to market your existing catalog during the holidays. And this one makes me cringe because all things marketing make me cringe, but let's talk about it.
Well, I just think it makes good business sense no matter what it is that you sell. If you sell keychains, somebody might want to buy a keychain for a loved one at Christmas time for a stocking stuffer. And so you have to think about, this is the biggest selling quarter of the year for retail or anything that sells. This is the biggest sales through these 3 months before Christmas. And so you have to think about that when you think about your marketing. Maybe put a little extra money into it or a little extra effort if you're not spending money, because this is the time of year people are looking to buy gifts.
I was just watching an old movie the other day, and they were looking. A guy was trying to figure out what to buy for his girlfriend, and he suggested buying a box set of DVDs. I can't remember, or CDs. I can't remember what it was. But remember when that was one of the best gifts to give people, was a box set of something that they liked listening to?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you have written a series, it would be a great time to put out a box set of your series right before Christmas, and maybe mark it down Christmas sale, and then after Christmas put it back up to where you want it to be for real.
The easiest way, just discount it.
Yeah.
Discount whatever you already have for sale. That's the easiest and fastest way.
Yes. And then if you want to take the next step, let the world know that you've discounted your book and that it's on sale for a limited time only. Right, Rhonda? And that would have to be a separate episode for you to go and find out where and how you spread the word about that.
Right.
Talking a little bit, backing up a little bit about promoting all throughout the year, Piper says she believes it's Elena Johnson who writes a whole series of Christmas romance book, and she says they sell throughout the year. So yeah, you don't have to believe that you're only going to sell at Christmas time. That is for sure. Okay, so the third way that we have to capitalize on the commercialization of Christmas is to give your writing as gifts. Now, this doesn't always work. I mean, you want to be really super careful about it.
Mhm.
But what do you ladies think about that idea?
I love it. I think everybody should do it. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how well you can spell. Doesn't matter if you can rhyme words. I don't care. Just do it. And I'm coming from a genealogical standpoint because even if you are the world's best-selling author, you are still a member of a family. And there are people in that family who want your writing. And even if it's not your children today, your great-grandchildren are going to want to read every single word of it.
I always think about those letters you get at Christmas time. Like
Oh,
someone will send a card
bulletin
and
things, yeah.
then there's a letter inside that has basically the high points of everything that happened in that particular immediate family,
Mhm,
in your extended family, like what their kids are doing and the milestones that family met that year. And then so people that you don't talk to every day or get a
mhm,
chance to share that kind of stuff with, you get this rehash at the end of the year, but then to save those things and put them in some kind of scrapbook or something so that,
mhm,
100 years from now, people are going to be interested in reading those.
mhm.
Piper says she gave her first book to all her family the year it came out. It was published in December. That's really great. Yeah, I love that. I was thinking about this, and I happened to write an article of several ways that you can give your writing as gifts, which is not really about books that you have published, but more like creating a piece of writing for the recipient and thereby kind of reminding them that you are a writer or informing them that you are a writer. Because, for example, we're doing a Secret Santa gift exchange at my new place of business, which is what got me thinking along these lines. And I was kind of thinking, well, is there a way that I could write a little something in addition to my purchase gift to kind of make things a little more personal? And when you do that, I think it can really wake people up to the idea that you have this whole other side of you. It might be a way to approach the idea that you're a writer to someone that you know is a reader that will feel a little bit better than just when they talk about the book they're reading. Oh, did you know I wrote a book too? Sometimes that's hard if you're an introverted writer type, right? Like just crossing that bridge from like, I'm your friend to I'm your friend who's a writer can happen at Christmas time if you include a piece of writing.
I've seriously been considering doing one of those letters, but making it a creative nonfiction.
Mm,
Oh,
Like
fun.
taking whatever happened this year in our family and just
mm.
turning it into like a rom-com or something. I don't know.
Oh, your family would love that. You
Yeah.
especially have the kind of family that loves to laugh together. I mean, imagine the humor that you could inject into that.
Yeah. Especially if I write about Athena.
Hmm,
She
Yeah.
has her sassy little things that she says and
hmm.
different things like that.
And then it's possible that you could start a tradition of reading them at the family gathering, maybe before the presents are opened so that the little ones are forced to hear it.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
That's fun. All right. So those are the three ways that we came up with to capitalize on the commercialization of Christmas. Do you ladies feel like there's more to add to this topic?
No, but I was just rereading through the comments that I missed when I was off. And Piper, I love that idea of the T-shirt with the logo. Brilliant. I love that.
What is it that she said?
She said, "I'm gifting T-shirts with a logo I had created for an inn in my story."
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, she says just to her family, but still nothing. And I mean, you can think about making merch to sell
Hmm.
that is co-themed with your book. So what if people got your book and a t-shirt for one price or something like that? Or what if they got your book, buy my book and get half off this mug? I don't know. There are certainly ways that you can market merch to capitalize on the commercialization of Christmas.
Yeah.
Market some merch.
You're doing such a good job of saying that over and over again.
Oh, thanks. Although it's funny because I keep saying commercialization and our actual word is commercialism.
Same thing.
Same
Oh.
thing. Yeah. And ladies, How do you feel about how commercialized Christmas has become? I mean, just in general, as a person.
I
Does it
guess I'm
make you
really good
feel
at ignoring it.
you're good at ignoring it?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it make you feel grinchy?
I think it's a necessary evil almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, if we weren't giving gifts on Christmas, there would be no reason for the commercialization of Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all
Mhm.
about us giving gifts. And why do we give gifts? Because Jesus said, "Whatsoever you do to the least of these, you've done unto me." So we can't give Jesus gifts, so we give others gifts to celebrate his
Hmm.
birthday. And
That's
so I
interesting.
just try to look at it that way. I mean, there are some things that go a little over the top, in my opinion, but um, I mean, if you want to buy a gift for everyone, it's really nice to have sales during the time that you're going to be buying them. Things to be
Yeah,
marked down, Good Friday, go out and get it for a third of the cost, kind of stuff.
right. And even if you're not buying gifts, I think a lot of retailers understand that we've all been waiting for this time of year to buy our new mattress.
Yeah. Or a TV or whatever it happens to be. Yep.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yeah.
And we're getting money sometimes as gifts. So
This is true. This is true.
we got money to spend.
All right. Okay, so if that concludes the topic section of the episode, it's, I guess, time to move on to everybody's favorite portion of the episode, which is the feeding of the bags. The what? The feeding of the bags. Well, this comes from our early days of writing group when we would bring a finished piece of work to the table for a full-on critique, and we would receive feedback. And then as each person's time was up, I would turn to them and say, "Is your back well fed?" And we would all go, "Ho, ho, ho, Jamie is so funny." And then we would move on. But we now call this segment the feeding of the backs because we give each other only positive feedback. Why is that, Tina? Why do we only give positive feedback?
Because we didn't have any time to plan and we had no time for editing or revision. We just had to write it.
That's right. We set a timer for 15 minutes before the podcast starts, and we write based on a prompt that we all agreed upon too long ago for any of us to remember, which was the week before. And then we write. And if you would like to see me create my piece live, you can go over to the Christian Indie Writers YouTube channel. I have live streamed my writing sprints for several weeks in a row. So if you're curious at all to see that happen, you can do that. And this week, we're going to start with Rhonda. We're going to give Rhonda only positive feedback on what prompt, Rhonda?
The prompt is capitalizing on Christmas.
All right. And why don't you tell us what you wrote?
Okay. This is based on something that I wrote a couple Christmases ago in one of these sprints. And it's a continuation.
Ooh.
Wandering the aisles mindlessly and daydreaming while pushing a cart is a bad idea. I'm jolted back to reality by the sound of a low-impact cart-to-cart crash. Oh, I'm sorry. The apology exploded from me like a foghorn, which seemed to frighten my victim more than the crash did. She jumped at the sound of my screeched apology and clutched the furry collar of her party jacket closer to her neck. I'm sorry, I apologize again. I was distracted by this. I point at the giant inflated Santa at the end of the aisle. She relaxed enough to pat my arm with her gloved hand. It's okay, honey. I noted the jolly snowman knitted into the design of her gloves and thought of my grandmother, who once knitted us a pair in a similar style. A photo of she and this woman I'd crashed into shot through my memory. The picture showed a dozen women sitting together, each holding knitting needles and a ball of yarn in their laps. They were in someone's mid-century modern living room, which was bedecked for the holidays. Crepe paper angels hovered over the decorated card table where Comet and the other reindeer stood, posed to fly to their next rooftop. Granny and a young Mrs. Beetle sat next to each other, beaming at the camera. Honey, are you okay? How is your sugar today? Mrs. Beetle looked concerned. Oh, I'm fine, thank you. I just came in for my groceries. I somehow got lost in this aisle. I smiled weakly, hoping it would satisfy her concern. Her face relaxed. Me too, dear. I just love all the glitter and the sparkle this time of year, don't you? She assumed I agreed and went on. I don't understand all the Scrooges, she twittered. I'm here to buy ingredients for my special Christmas cookies. Her face lit up with a new idea. I have a wonderful idea, sweetie. Why don't you go dig out your grandma's special recipe and we can make them together? That's it.
I loved every bit of that. A party jacket.
Oh, she's a very festive lady.
I love it. And you got me with the snowman knitted into the glove
Mm.
because I know how to knit. I would never say I'm a knitter because like I know how to do it, but I don't do it. And I know how hard that is. And to think about how now it's like mass produced with like these machines. And so many women had the skill of just being able to like whip off a pair of gloves or mittens, lickety split. It's
Yeah.
just amazing to me what a different time that was.
My mother had a machine in her sewing room, like a knitting machine,
Yeah.
and she would make like Christmas stockings and mittens and stuff like that with little designs on them.
My mom did too.
Ah, that's so funny. And Mrs. Beadle's generation, they didn't have machines. They just thought, and they
Right.
all knitted like bandages for the war and stuff like that, right?
Yes. I'm sure this ladies group did as well. Yeah.
So like every woman probably knew how to knit, and probably a lot of men too. I understand that men knitted
Mhm.
back
I
in
think
the day.
nowadays they call themselves hookers.
Those are crocheters.
Oh, are they what do I know?
Lots of praise in the chat for you, Rhonda. Shell
Oh.
says it's very sweet, and Piper says she wants special cookies now.
Oh,
My mind, because I watch a lot of detective and like crimes. In my mind, Mrs. Beadle is trying to get the secret recipe.
Dig
Mm.
out Grandma's special recipe and bring it over.
She's
We can
being a
make
little
it
sneaky.
together.
Yeah.
Ah, she would do that.
Now,
Yeah,
refresh my memory. This person's kind of a Grinch, right, Rhonda? The
Yes.
person at the store. Yeah, she was
Yeah.
unhappy about being there.
Yeah. When I picture her, I kind of picture Phoebe Cates and Gremlins. You know, just kind of that.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
I'm gonna have to go watch Gremlins now so I can understand the reference.
Oh, you haven't seen Gremlins?
I saw it so many years ago and
Oh.
didn't really enjoy it. So it was like the kids were watching it and I might have been in the room.
Ah, yes.
I
kind of
remember the first
situation.
time I saw it, I was just upset that there was not more shots of the Gizmo character. When I first saw it, right? Like when it came out and I was younger, and I was so sad that it was like all those little ugly guys running around, but I didn't get to see enough of the cuteness.
Mhm.
And now times have changed and I can look at a picture of him whenever I want. Yay, technology.
My daughter was scared of them. And then they came out with those little toys. What were those called? They were
Oh,
battery operated and
Furby?
yeah,
Furby.
Furbies. So she was also scared of Furbies and we were mean. Like we actually wrapped one up for Christmas. And we had already like had it in a room for a while, so had learned to say things.
Oh, no.
She wasn't happy with us.
Piper says that Rhonda would be a good red herring to throw in there, that this recipe was much desired by Mrs. Beadle.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Yes, me too.
I'm a little slow on the sharing the chat comments, guys. Sorry.
You're not used to it being your job. We miss
I
you,
am not
Jen.
Jennifer.
Yes, if Jennifer were here, it would be her turn to read her story, but she's not. So I shall read mine. And I do not like this story. Maybe you guys will. Here we go. I don't think it looks right, Timmy said, tilting his head and looking at the card his sister had created. But I can't think of what the trouble is. Let's take it to Mom. Maybe she can help. No, silly, Susie said. Don't you remember this card is for her? She looked at her brother with a furrowed brow, then back at the masterpiece of crayon on construction paper. Can you give me some kind of clue? Do you not like the colors or what? It's the words. There's something wrong. I've done them in my best puffy letters. They're terrific, Susie insisted. It was at that moment that the duo's older sister Margie entered the room. What's going on, Pipsqueaks, besides the two of you making an absolute mess out of this room? She kicked a stuffed animal into the air and caught it in her hand before placing it on a shelf where it belonged. Come on, give me a hand cleaning this up. We can't, protested Susie. We're making a gift for Mom. Mom will appreciate the clean room more than any old gift you can make her, Margie quipped. That's not nice, Susie protested, but Timmy had already moved to start clearing up the pieces of the puzzle table that had been left scattered, and Susie felt compelled to join in, picking up random articles of clothing and tossing them into the laundry hamper. There, Margie said, when the room was once again tidy. Now let me see what you are making for Mom. I don't want to show you, Susie said, folding her arms. She was quite bitter about Margie's earlier comment. Margie frowned for a moment, but then a look of realization passed over her face. I see. I've hurt your feelings. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I'm sure Mom will be thrilled with whatever it is the two of you have made her. Susie wasn't sure she was ready to forgive her sister, but Tommy cried eagerly, She will, won't she? Yes, Margie agreed heartily. Now why not show me what you've got? Okay. Timmy reached into the desk and pulled out a stack of papers that had been crookedly stapled together. This is our coupon book, see? Here is a coupon for a free hug from me. This one is good for up to 5 uses. And here is one for Susie to agree to let the family have broccoli for supper. Whoa, that's huge, Margie said, as everyone in the house was quite aware of how opposed Susie was to the stench of broccoli cooking. Yes, well, that coupon is good for only 1 use, Susie said. And here is the card we made for Mother. She held up the work of art with both pride and apprehension. After all, Timmy had found something not quite right about it. It's lovely, Margie said, but Susie had not missed the cloud of something that had passed over her older sister's face. What? What is wrong with it? Susie said, turning the card around to once again scrutinize it. Nothing. I mean, it's nothing that will matter to Mother. I've spelled Mother right, Susie said, double-checking. Yes, you have. So what is it? What's the issue? You sure you want me to tell you? Margie's brow furrowed, and Susie was instantly remorseful that she had taken such umbrage to Margie's earlier teasing. Yes, for heaven's sake, I want this card for Mother to be perfect. She put on her most appealing expression and looked up at Margie with pleading eyes. Please help me. Okay, said Margie with a sigh. It's only one little mistake. See, you forgot to capitalize the word Christmas. The end.
I think, no, it's not frozen. I was like, oh, she's frozen. No, she was just mesmerized.
I was mesmerized, yes. Okay, so first of all, originally I was going to do the same thing, capitalizing.
Really?
Yes. But I don't know how you do it. I'm trying to analyze your writing, and because I want to write like you, because it is like we were around that table and I was there listening to the conversation live.
Thank
You're
you.
just, it's so realistic how you do that.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to go run over in the closet and pull out my box. I'm like, oh, here is it. I got one of those.
I appreciate that. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm glad that you all liked it. I was like, Timmy, Susie, Margie, just the creativity did not feel like it was coming today.
Oh, no, it was absolutely great.
Thanks.
I loved it.
All right. We got one more story before we move on, Miss Bambina. What did you write for us today?
Well, I kind of took this you don't have to write a Christmas story in romance a little to the extreme.
Oh, no.
And I decided to write a scene continuing the kidnapping story that I had written a long time ago where the little boy had been kidnapped and he escaped.
Oh, yeah.
So this is from his point of view. So if it's too dark for you guys, I apologize in advance. I had tried to put a little lighter stuff in there a couple times.
Oh boy, all right.
The space under the stairs was dark except for the light shining through the cracks around the little Harry Potter door. It wasn't cold, but the boy wrapped a Star Wars blanket he'd been given more tightly around him and settled in, leaning his head against the wall in the perfect position to see through a crack into the living room. Kevin's dad was sitting on the couch in his two-tone blue junkyard uniform, his feet on the coffee table and a brown bottle of beer in one hand resting on his navel. His other hand was buried in a bag of chips, occasionally bringing the powder-covered triangles to his mouth, then burying the hand back in the bag again. There was orange powder on one corner of the dad's lips, but he didn't seem to care. Kevin's brother came in from the kitchen and plopped down next to the dad. Same blue uniform, same bottle, same position. The only differences were he had a blue bag of potato chips with the ridges in them, and his socks, stained black at the bottom, were a dirty shade of white, and the dad's were gray. The sound of Kevin's footsteps on the stairs above the boy's head made him look up, even though he knew he couldn't see anything. "Anything to eat?" Kevin asked. The father and brother both lifted their bags of chips simultaneously. Kevin sighed loudly, then shuffled into the kitchen. The boy wondered what Kevin might find to eat and if there would be enough for him. The boy's nose began to tickle, and he rubbed at it to make the feeling go away, but the rubbing made it worse, and before he could stop it, a sneeze escaped. He froze, staring through the crack to see if he'd been heard. Neither man made any indication of having heard him. The TV was on rather loudly, the song Jingle Bells playing. The father lifted his beer toward the TV. "There's got to be a way the junkyard can capitalize on this commercialization of Christmas," he said, with a mouthful of orange chips. "Sure," the brother chuckled. "Let's have a nativity car-crushing special, 3 for the price of 1.
Hmm.
The boy laughed. Both the father and the brother turned toward the hobbit door. "Hey, Kevin, you're going to make your weird friend something to eat too, right?" And then the timer went off.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised the dad could come up with a sentence like that. I unfortunately also feel like I was right there. I could picture that scene so clearly.
Thanks.
Yeah, very good description. And interesting that this character, like, intentionally puts himself in closets. That's an interesting development there to that character. Also, what I think is neat is how you sort of like did some commercialization in your own story. Like you mentioned Harry Potter and you mentioned Star Wars, and then we all know what kind of chips you were talking about. So it's funny because your story almost had product placement in it, which I thought was fun.
Right, and I try not to say the products if I could help.
Yeah. Well, you did a good job with that. I mean, we're able to tell what a dysfunctional family this is without you saying that. I mean, even down to the guy's socks.
Right.
Just so many great details in that story, Tina.
I wanted to put a hole in it, but I couldn't figure out like how to make it not seem weird that he was, so I just left it.
It was enough. I'm sure plenty of people imagined a hole.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on to the final segment, which is to check in with each of us about what's next. So since we are talking about what's next, a reminder, no podcast for 2 weeks, which will seem like a really, really long time for me. And I hope that y'all will miss us enough to come back on January 7th, all ready to go. And we hope that you will bring your writing resolutions, I guess. It's not quite alliteration, but it feels like it in my mouth. Because we're going to be talking about writerly resolutions on the first episode in January. We're going to be talking about what worked for us with our planning last year and how we are changing things up for the coming year. So we hope you'll join us then. But again, for 2 weeks, we will not be here, the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's Eve. So the 24th and the 31st, no podcast. So with that said, Rhonda, what's next for you besides holly jolly stuff?
What's next for me is work. I'm not going to take the next week off, even though in years past I would. But I'm too excited about finishing up some of these projects. The nice thing is these projects, they're already almost completed. So all I have to do is just wrap them up, and then I get credit in my own mind for doing something.
Is that a pun? You just have to wrap them up.
Yes. Completely intentional, Tina. Yes, thank you very much for bringing that.
All right. So are you committing to show up to the office hours this week from 10 to 12?
Yes, starting Monday. Yes.
Do you think it's easier now that like the weather's ick and you're not so tempted to be outside working on outside stuff?
Yes, and there's absolutely nothing that I can possibly do at the house at all, so that's not a distraction for me either.
Stuff has kind of come grinding to a halt there.
Well, it's I don't know how to run an excavator or a crane.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah,
you need to learn.
By the end time it's done, I might.
Okay, that's great. Did you want to give a plug for anything that you have available for people to buy right now?
Sure. Yes, we still have our How to Plot Your Novel series started on Amazon. 2 books in the series so far. One for writing a cozy mystery, and one for plotting any novel. Um, Available on Amazon today.
All right, and your author name is?
D, letter D, D Bowman, Bouman.
Okie dokie. We got some what's next is in the chat. What's next for Shell? Gonna bust out her partially written stories and pick one to work on in the new year. All right, all right. And I wonder if she'll be off the next couple weeks too. Liz says she really wants to finish writing at least 4,500 words of her first draft before Christmas. You can do it, Liz. I know Liz also works full time.
Yeah,
So.
she said the last 4,500 words.
Oh,
Right.
then
So she's going to be done.
Right.
Shell said,
And
"Go, Liz, you can do it." And Piper's also cheering her on. What were you going to say, Rhonda?
oh, I was just gonna say, like the wise Yoda said, do or do not.
There's no try.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Liz says the words aren't flowing. Well, sometimes that's just how it is. Especially if you're busy making merry and being a holly jolly, it seems like some of your creative energy is spent elsewhere. So
Mm-hmm.
don't be too hard on yourself. But if you have a goal, you can do it. All right. And
be inspired by Piper and at least open your manuscript every day.
There you go. Agree. Yeah.
I find that if I read the last 6 or 7 paragraphs that I've written, sometimes that will get the juices going, and then I can continue.
That's a really great tip. Okay, what's next for me? I am still butt in seat every day from 10 to 12, even though some days, goodness, it's really hard. And I've been missing more because I've had some therapy appointments and I've had phone calls, but I am not giving up on this writing career of mine. And to that end, I have actually put together a newsletter for December. Hooray, hooray. And it will be going out on December 20th. It is all but scheduled. So if you are not already subscribed to my newsletter, head over to www.writingshorts.net and sign up. You will get this year or this month an article about gift giving ideas if you want to just try writing for fun. You will get a link to get Maria Johnson's free Christmas short story. You will get a free short included right in that episode of the newsletter. And also I'm a part of two great promotions. So you'll want to sign up at www.writingshorts.net. You will get a free copy of A Knight's Gift, my short story, just for subscribing. And Bambina, what is next for you?
First, I want to show Piper's what's next. Can't talk today. Still opening the work in progress every day and trying to get some more words, hoping they will begin coming easier.
Good for you for showing up every day, Piper.
I have been working hard on my first quarter of next year, planning it, and I don't want to say too much about that because we're going to talk about that on the 7th. But I've been doing a lot of work, and I'm just about done with that, and I'm going to be ready to hit the ground running. So I'm feeling really good about that. I've got my thing on the wall finished. I bought this colorful throw rug. It's got daisies like orange and yellow and red and hot pink and like lime green in there. It's like this pattern. And I'm going to put it over this old carpet. This room used to be my boys' room when they were growing up. And so I mean, you could probably just imagine this is like the original carpet from when we moved in. And my husband, after I ordered the throw rug to put down, my husband's like, well, maybe we'll have them come in and put in some Pergo. So I think I inspired him. Yay!
Yay!
But I'm still going to keep my throw rug because it's very bright and colorful, and it makes those colors make me feel like working.
That's awesome. What a good trick. I love that. Yeah, make your environment productive for you, right? Yeah. Inspiring. All right. Did we get all of the what's next in
Looks
our
like
chat?
it. I think the chat might be a little delayed today, and I don't know if that's my internet or if that's just the World Wide Web, but it seems like they're a little delayed, so maybe there'll be some more, but as of now, no.
All right. So if we missed you, we're not ignoring you. We're just not seeing it come through. And if nobody has anything to add on the subject of the commercialization of Christmas, all hearts clear. All right. So that concludes this episode of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. Until next time, next year, may your pen be prolific, may your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ. Bye now.
See you next year.